Whereas at the Denby Castle, it is your instant match reaction to Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Everton 1. The Blues take another step towards Premier League safety in a game that happened, Dave.
There was you calling them Wolverhampton Wanderers? That took like an extra 10 seconds.
I want to give them the full title to fill up the podcast. But listen, it you know, like I said, it happened. Everton weren't very good. We played against a team that weren't very good. Draw was probably about right in the end. Yeah, just one of them where Moyes looked quite content and pleased with it at the end. Because I suppose ultimately his ambition is to get us safe, and that takes us another step forward to it, albeit a very slow, arduous, painful one of times tonight.
Yeah, it was, and you know, the thing why I'm hesitant to criticise it in any sort of way is how much would they have given for a match like this where we weren't overly arsed about.
Oh God, yeah.
Obviously arsed about losing, but you know, Everton have gone all out there. Haven't gone all out there. Have they to go and win that game as hard as they possibly could. Couple of like performances, end of season looking performances, which, do you know what, Moyes won't be happy with that.
Like 10 games to go.
Well, that's the reason why I think he'll be fuming about it, to be honest. Because there's so many things could have done so much better. It's very sloppy at times. No idea how Doucoure didn't get a yellow card. So I've no idea if he's like best mates with that well or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, it's a terrible time of the day to go and play your game.
Oh, it's awful, isn't it? Yeah.
8 o'clock on a Saturday night away in Wolves. You know, fair play to all the Blues that were getting the ticket and were able to go there.
I mean, the Denby was absolutely rammed.
Oh, it was bouncing there. Yeah, we went down there and we've come outside to do the podcast. It's like man for man in there, isn't it? It's absolutely roasting in there because there's that many people standing around. Yeah, but performance-wise, I mean, we scored that goal, which was a relatively lucky goal, wasn't it, from Jack Harrison to go and score it. And then I turned to you, as I normally do, and say, we'll batter these. And it just never materialised. I thought the game was there to be won. But they'll say the exact same thing, which probably, you know, that's why both indicating that it was a fair draw. Thought they didn't offer much at all either without Cunha playing. When we found out that when he had that red card and he wasn't playing against us, I thought, you know what, there's 3 points there for the taking. And I guess the overwhelming thing you take from it is you've kept that run of form going. You've kept the momentum of it's an away game we haven't lost. It's how many games now is that? 8 unbeaten in the league. Again, refer back to what we had done for that 8 weeks ago. You know, felt some decent performances in there. I felt as if Branthwaite and O'Brien had a lot to deal with in general. Branthwaite, me and you turned to each other, didn't we? And said it feels like the old Branthwaite for most of that.
And then he almost fell over himself in the box for the goal.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and he was trying. I don't know what he was trying to do. He just got his feet in the wrong position and tried to back heel it away. I'm not sure why he was trying to do that. But yeah, I mean, it felt a lot more comfortable. It feels more comfortable when they're on the ball. I feel in times gone by, and this is where I think Moyes has changed quite a lot, is that it doesn't have to be a direct ball forward. It's let's play it into feet in midfield. If they can't find the pass, lay it off. Just try and find something else to the lines of the opposition, and we do that quite a decent effect now. But then, you know, there were other performances in there like Lindstrom. I think I said about half an hour in, I didn't even know he was playing. Fair play to Harrison, went and got the goal. Tried his hardest as he normally does, but I mean, I had sympathy at times with Beto, but then other time he's isolated. It was a classic isolated striking performance, let's be honest. True. He had the one chance he had, which me and you sort of argued with, didn't we? Because I was like, he's just telegraphed it by opening his body up, and you were saying it's a decent save by the keeper. I think he's probably right in the middle of it, to be honest. But with the team we've got now there, seeing what Alcaraz was like when he came on, he just adds that boost of energy whenever you need him there. Thought he probably maybe put him on a bit earlier than he did. Doucoure again, very blasé for so many of them there, which guess what, that's what you're going to get from football. So 8 at night on a Saturday when you've got to travel to Wolves, but they can't wait to get home after that one, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's a point added on, and then you got West Ham, another one at Goodison that we all need to enjoy next week.
I think our mate Darren, who was with us tonight, summed it up really well when he said it was very much like the Luton game at the end of last season. Doesn't feel like last season, doesn't feel like ages ago, but where we were effectively safe and we were playing against a team that were desperate to win, but just weren't very good. Like we went ahead that night, and then they kind of get back in it just through like sheer force of will and want. And Wolves kind of did the same today, and then ultimately from that point on, when both teams are kind of happy with a draw, it kind of becomes that kind of match, doesn't it? Where like they've got loads of the ball but aren't really good enough to break us down. We've got chances to counter-attack and space to counter-attack but aren't quite good enough to exploit them. And I think the only time that the game really was shifted was when Alcaraz came on, wasn't it? And he was the one. And I know it was late in the game and things happened before that, but I think it's probably worth starting with him because it's a really interesting debate now, I think, isn't it, between him and Doucoure? Because that feels like the only position in the team really that's up for grabs at the moment until the injured players come back. And I don't think it's any surprise that in the away games that he's played, Alcaraz at Palace and Brentford, certainly as those games have gone on and his running power's become more of a factor, that Everton have kind of grown into it and scored late goals in both those matches. And when he comes on again today, all the good things we do in the last half an hour of the game are through him, aren't they? You know, there's that run which he sets up Beto, there's a little turn on the edge of the box which he has a shot and it ends up on his left foot and he goes straight to the keeper. But it just felt like he gave us that outlet that Doucoure does. He looks like he's natural running with the... He looks like he's quite natural running with the ball, Alcaraz, whereas Doucoure looks like he's trying to not fall over the ball, if you get what I mean. Like, he can carry it really effectively, and I think certainly away games where it's going to be more about counter-attacking and maybe not pressing and, you know, and getting in the face of the opposition as much, he feels like a better transitional option than Doucoure, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, it really does. I think you've nailed that there with the alternatives to Doucoure and him off. It's actually a really nice alternative to have, isn't it, for Moyes to play around with. Completely agree with what you said there, away from home. He's a player that's built for counter-attacking football, and I feel when he's on there as well, that outlet that you need when you're defending deep, which we do. Which, I mean, he put on the telly, didn't he? We had 12% possession at some point in the game. But you're looking at him, who's on the edge of your 18-yard box or slightly further forward towards the centre park, and get a ball to him and Everton turn and they're on the attack straight away.
It's at that break, wasn't it, when he set Beto up? It's like Doucoure's got a lot of attributes, but he just can't do that.
That's spot on, and I think that's what he's made for. I think you're right. I think, you know, in general, and I don't know, I think you have most of our fans listening to this saying, you know, you'd have to start Alcaraz because he's better, he's the best player of the two, or one of the best attacking players that we've got there. But I think if you delve a little bit deeper into this, you look at him coming on off the bench was probably a lot better than having him from the start there, because then they can see what the problem is and they can try and stand up against it. Whereas if you've got Doucoure, you know what you're getting from Doucoure. Again, somebody else who some days he just flatters to deceive, doesn't he? Other times you think he's a brilliant player.
I mean, he was dreadful. He was absolutely dreadful today.
He was. It was one of the Doucoure flip a coin performances, wasn't it? And he landed on the wrong side of the coin.
Do you know what summed him up? Is that chance he had in the first half where he has a terrible touch that goes right up in the air, and he does this really good little spin onto his left foot and shot. It's like you just done one of the worst touches I've ever seen, and then 5 seconds later, like a great pirouette and turn and shots. Like, what actually are you as a footballer, mate?
Yeah, he's the kind of thing where you're like, does he even know what he's doing himself at times? You know what I mean? He just perseveres with everything that happens when he's got the ball in and around his feet. But with your point there, with Alcaraz, then I think it's interesting how Moyes will utilise him going forward. I mean, it's too simplistic to say you've got to start him, you've got to put him in that first 11 there, because I think he's the kind of player that a team will double up against, a team that will, if they keep him, similar to Ndiaye as well, I think players, if they double up against him, then that's negated most of Everton's threats. Whereas if you start with Doucoure, you've got something that is a little bit more direct, it's a little bit more, you know, battles for the ball and things like that. So if you can change that up, then that's better for us, to an element of surprise if you're putting someone like Alcaraz on. And I felt that's why the game did change there, and we probably should go and score, probably should go and win it. But yeah, I mean, that's talking about that point there about Luton. I think that's absolutely spot on with that. And you know, I think Wolves finally realised themselves, hang on, we're draw here, we're on 6 points above the bottom three. Ipswich just don't like they're going to do anything. We've got them at home as well. And yeah, I think, you know, if you looked at the two managers, you'd have Moyes turn into theirs and probably saying, do you want to shake hands here after 60? Draw will do us both, do you know what I mean? Which is, it's a shit things to say, isn't it? Because we get up for watching the Blues. You've seen the crowd that's in here watching us away from home. Every time we go to Goodison as well, you don't want to get into those sorts of fixtures we used to. But yeah, today, give it some context to where Everton have been and where Everton are right now. Being disappointed with the 1-1 draw away at Wolves, we'd take that every single day of the week. Not so long ago, before 2025.
In a game that effectively doesn't matter, like which is mad, isn't it? Like, you know, like I think it's, you know, what is it, 8 games unbeaten in the league now, and I think it's not just that. It's we've won 4 of them and drawn 4 of them. So it's the combination of the two. And
when's the last time you've watched a game where you thought, well, you know, when we've drawn one and come away from it where you're not like... That's a good point. That's a really good point, actually. But the point I'm making is you're already
this
safe.
early in the season, and
we looked at the table, didn't we, where we were winning, and we went up to like 13 and stuff like that. I was like, oh, you know what? Half-ass sort of joke about you can get in Europe and stuff like that. Obviously not going to happen, is it? But that's where we are right now, with a team that's comfortable in the late mid-table, lower mid-table, which is absolutely fine by me. A lot of exciting things going on. Got club decisions being made and all that sort of thing. And Everton playing football is decent to watch. That wasn't we were important in that game. Thought we were quite flat, but that by no reason we were poor. Wasteful in moments, but Everton play like that away from home. They're going to win more games than what they draw or lose.
Yeah. And I think as well, like, it's the first time I've watched us since he got injured and thought, really missing Jai now. Like, and I think like those little moments where we had time to counter attack and like carry the ball forward. You know, there's a lot of talk about Cunha. I was like, my God, the amount of time they cut him in the crowd, it was like he was a big celeb, wasn't it? It was like David Beckham the other night in Paris, wasn't it? But very strange. But like, you know, when you look at that and you think, Beto has played, I think I'm right in saying he's played 90 minutes in pretty much every game since Moyes came in. Well, certainly since Moyes' first 2 games when Don was fit. Because Sharif didn't come on in any game, Chimiti's not coming in any game at any point, Keane's not come on as an emergency striker. And like, you looked at him and he didn't look like a player who'd had, you know, 5 days in the UAE on a sunbed, did he? He looked absolutely goose tonight. And like, when you think about that, that's one thing. No Njai, no McNeil, no Mangala. Like, there are important, you know, probably like, certainly in the case of Mangala, Njai and McNeil, like probably like 3 of our best technical players, you'd say. And a game like that, which was a bit mad to start, and then it kind of opened up and like good players got time on the ball. It felt like we just missed that little bit of nuance and composure in possession. Like Lindstrom, like you said, and Harrison, you know, they do run the backside off and they put a shift in, but when you need to like find a pass between the lines, or you need to like take somebody on, or just keep hold of the ball and like get your body into somebody, or, you know, in the case of McNeil, just bang one in from 20 yards or put a great cross in out of nowhere. Like, those lads just haven't got that, have they? You
know, it's funny because you say that, because you spend most of your life as a Blue looking at what we haven't got, and then you look at it when you've just mentioned the injured players to come back and think, wow, we've actually got a squad there. Yeah. We've got half a dozen attacking players there who you can mix about with, and I would think Moyes is pretty excited about that, to get these lads back in there. And
like, there's like a Breuer on there, like, he's not amazing, but like just fresh legs on the counter attack in that situation. Like when Beto is clearly goose, like, he's probably sharp when he gets that chance, or like, you know, he makes a better run, or he holds the ball up here and there, and that just like transforms the game, doesn't it?
No, absolutely right. That it's just being able to have somebody else, like you said, fresh legs as well. I mean, he'd ran into the ground, Beto, in every game before this one, and he was very isolated today as well. There was nothing around him that helped either. To give him a bit of credit for how things set up for him, he misses a golden chance there. You know, but if you're absolutely knackered, and that's the one thing you get in a game.
We'll talk about that.
You know, we'll go on, because I think we'll argue about that, won't we, to end the podcast. But with those alternatives you mentioned there, that's massively positive for us. That, and I'm not sure what the time frame is for these guys coming back. But when you think about it, and like, you know, Peter Mack absolutely adores McNeil, doesn't he? Talking to him about it, and there's a debate over whether he'd get in the 11 if everybody's fit, and all that sort of talk there. Again, much more positive chats that we're having about the way the club are looking, not the club, about the club as well, but obviously the team, the squad, and that Moyes is back here, and everyone have got a real positivity in and around them. So I think that kind of game there is nothing that you're particularly concerned about. And you look at what we've got left. I just hope the season doesn't sort of meander out to the way in which it could. You know, like how many times we had that in the past where we've been a mid-table side where you're like, can't wait for this to finish, and that old saying, like, that old cliche, everyone's on the beach, you know.
What we've all been saying for months, like, this is what we want.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we want to be in a position where we don't care about these games. So like, I suppose we can't have it like, but we've got opportunities. Like, I think we've got a nice mix of home games, definitely. For like West Ham, we should beat, really, like, in a couple, and then we've got a couple of big inverted commas home games against Arsenal and City, and then a couple of games we definitely should win against Ipswich and Southampton. So there's a nice little blend there where I feel like it's one of them where we should. But just on Beto, I know what your thoughts are on it, but the one thing I will agree with you on is that I think the fact that he started scoring goals means that teams and goalkeepers in particular will be looking at him and his finishing and how he finishes. And I do think, and maybe he's a bit harsh with the chance here tonight, but I do think like he needs to get another finish other than the one where he put, I'm not comparing them obviously, but the Henry opened the body up into the corner, like because he's done that for a few now, hasn't he? And like obviously because he started scoring, teams will think like, well, we need to, goalies like, I need to look at how does this lad move? What, like, when does he shake? Like, what does he do with the ball? How does he manoeuvre it? And I think maybe not so much tonight, but Flecken the other week definitely, it felt like he read him in a few of those chances. I think the one tonight actually is a decent effort and a good save, but it feels like he's got to get that either whip it back across by giving the keeper the eyes, or like drilling it hard and low instead of trying to pass it into the corner, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, he has. He's got to find it, and he's starting to learn. He's still learning. Listen, I mean, it's very easy to start overly criticising. I mean, he was a bit of a joke when he came.
I will not criticise tonight. He hit the target.
Absolutely not. And that's the thing. It shows you how far he's stepped since he's been here. Because how much of a laughing stock was he? How much did we think, oh, hang on, people have seen him at an airport and hope he leaves in January. You've gone from there to being, well, our number one striker, and there'd be a really interesting debate if Calvert-Lewin was fifth. People would probably be saying that Beto should be the one that starts. Well, there you go. And massive credit to him that he's got this far. I think you're right, and you notice quite quickly what the Premier League difference is to where he's been, when you know the goalkeeper's going to do the studies on this. With that chance, it infuriated me so much because he scored that goal several times, and this is the second week on the bounce where he's not scored with that. He had two similar opportunities at Brentford, didn't he? One of them was the second one was a brilliant save. The first one wasn't so much.
The first one he messed up, and the other two were good saves, weren't they?
I mean, it might have been he gone back into his shell when he tried to round the keeper and thought, you know what, that's not me as a striker, I can't really do that. But I just thought he telegraphed. I mean, you see me at turns, he was absolutely fuming what he did with it. I mean, I said to Daz next to us as well, I just wish he had the left foot. It's just for standing on. Like, many players are like that, even as professionals now. He can't put his left foot through the ball.
How many strikers are getting that on the weak foot? And it's not like the keeper's come right out to him. Like, he's still got to, even that's on his weak foot, he's got to properly get it in the corner. Like, how many strikes on the weak foot are getting that on the weak foot and smashing it across the keeper into the bottom corner? There's not many.
I'd like to think a professional footballer should be able to, though, Matt. And
is that not one of those things that people just say, though? Like, no, I think on the weak foot, like,
should you have a weak foot? To me and you is like, I couldn't kick a ball properly with my left foot. Some might say I couldn't with my right, but with a professional footballer, he should be able to at least strike a ball. And I'm thinking there in that position, he should, out of his options that he's got there, if he thinks about doing the exact same finish that, like you said, the goalkeeper's probably going to look up on that before he plays an opponent, and he tries to put it on that side. It was a good save, you said. Wasn't a great save. It was something if you were a keeper there, or you watching that keeper that was Pickford, you'd expect him to save that. And with that in mind, I'm thinking, well, you just at least try and come up with something else. I mean, he could have even gone the shorter side of it as well. Just do something a little bit different, and I think he'll learn that quite well. But I think the positive to take from him all the time now is he's getting in those positions on the floor, Matt. And I think that's crucial here, because you see the height of him. It's really easy that many people have stereotyping because he's a big lad. I don't think he's any good in the air. No, I think he's really poor with his head on the ball, which is obviously ironic given the size of him. And he's better with his feet. He's just an awkward player. He loves sticking his body about. He loves, you play it into his feet when he's got his back to goal. I think they're the things that he'll need to learn a lot better, because he does get in those positions really well. He's a big enough lad to be able to brush off a big central defender and be able to lay it off and move on. And that's his game too. He didn't, when you said he looked knackered, it did make me smile, or the sort of right smile, when I seen him sprint and I thought, he's actually quick. He's a quick lad.
He's really fast, yeah.
Even tonight, he just looked knackered. It didn't look like he could get into a sprint. And I did feel quite sorry for him in the end. But again, he's somebody who's grown. He's grown as a player for us. He's grown as somebody we're going to need. And he's developed an Everton career. When, like I said here, I've referred to it a few times. You go back a few weeks, we want him gone.
Yeah. Just to finish up, I thought Jake O'Brien was good again tonight. Like, there's the great moments in the first half where he took down a long diagonal ball on his chest and put a great cross in. Just like, it's one of those plays. You just think like, why wasn't he being used in any way, shape, or form? And like, I don't think his long-term future is going to be as a right back, but the fact he can adapt and be effective there is very encouraging.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and I like watching those kind of players. Just like, you just want to put their head down and run with the ball because they know what they can do with the ball. They know you can beat their left back. If you're a left back coming up against someone like that, it probably wrecks your head thinking this is going to be a bad afternoon or a bad evening for 90 minutes.
I love watching players who are like anatomically not like stereotypically for their position.
Correct.
So do you know like I love watching like a massive winger or a massive fullback or like a tiny centre back. It's like sort of reminds me like watching like a tail ender bat in cricket where it's like you shouldn't be there in this position. Like there's something like weirdly comforting and odd about it. But like he's starting to look more and more comfortable there, isn't he?
Yeah, it's like Stark for Australia. He doesn't look like the bat looks tiny on him, but he can still knock one for a six. And that's a really good analogy, to be honest with you. And yeah, I mean, he's I've said it a couple of times, he reminds me a hell of a lot like Lescott when he first came in, and Moyes was really keen to get him in a centre half because that's why he initially bought from Wolves. Yeah, I mean, if you're Sean Dyche sitting at home watching that, you'd be having an extra drink in the night when you're thinking, I made a mistake there, not starting that lad a lot earlier than what they did. He's a very confident player as well. He looks assured about him in and among the players himself. And he's a no-nonsense kind of guy. We had him getting interviewed for the first time, didn't we? And he's like, just bog standard with us, talking to bats. It's like a straight back at anybody who's interviewing him. It's probably the most boring conversation you could have as a journalist with him, do you know what I mean?
Our mate Alan Healy's from the same neck of the woods, so that's just what the Cork men are like, apparently. So, and I just one other player I wanted to mention, actually, like, he's sort of gone under the radar a bit, but like, I think since he's come back into the team, like at the perfect time with Mangala's injury, James Garner's been really good for us. Like, and I think while Mangala's was good for us, like, James Garner's just got that like extra bit of bite and like tenacity about him, and I think today when Idrissa Gana was having a bit of a bad game, he sort of stepped up a little bit. Like, maybe not so much about tonight in particular, but I think over the last 8 games in particular, he's been really good.
Yeah, I really like him. I think when he first came in, I know Forest were devastated to lose him. Obviously, he's not going to get a kick at Man United because of what's going on there. That's not to do him with the service, because he probably will get in the United team right now. But yeah, he's been really reliable when he's came in for us. He's quite versatile too. He's done as a shift at right back at times as well. He's just one of those players who, you're going to get 6, 7 out of 10 from him. He's not going to let you down, kind of thing. I think he's really good on the ball as well. He's comfortable on the ball.
Definitely seeing more of that side of him now, aren't we, under Moyes than we did ever under Dyche?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think he's the type of player under Dyche who just wants him to chase people down. A bit like Harrison. That's probably why somebody like Dyche likes a Jack Harrison, because they'll just run all day and run all night. But that at the expense of actually being any good on the ball. I think probably had that same idea with Garner, not actually realising that he's actually really good on the ball. And now when you see him playing for us, he's in the starting 11 now. I think his place shouldn't be up for grabs at all. You can utilise him a little bit different. Well, that's it. Running out of them, But I mean, if you were to, we'll have this chat obviously in a couple of months' time when it's the end of the season, but he's been a success this year. Obviously he's been injured for a lot of it, but when he's come back and you see Moyes shouting at him and things like that, I think he's the exact kind of player David Moyes likes to be in charge of.
There was a great moment, I think, when I think he put a free kick in the second half, Garner, and it was terrible.
Yeah, went off to play.
And he just cut to Moyes, and you can see him going, Jimmy! It reminded me,
Jimmy!
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the wire, but it just reminded me of Bunk when he's drunk in the wire, towards him and he goes, Jimmy!
So he's got his arms in the air as well, like absolutely fuming with him.
The anguish was there for everyone to see. But listen, we'll wrap it up there anyway. We've got 25 minutes out of that. Very, very bad.
We do what we do, man.
Very bad.
Anyone else who talk 2 minutes about it?
Well, listen. The last time I recorded a podcast outside here, Dave, after we played Wolves and drew, was just me, Mose, and Adam Jones when Yerry Mina just scored a 99th minute equaliser, and we were terrified about Leeds going to West Ham and Leicester going to Newcastle and potentially winning. And we obviously in the last week of the season we won against Bournemouth and it was all fine, but like, watching that Leeds game the next day and they went 1-0 up and we were in the bottom 3 then, and then the Castagna chance for Leicester, which I've been seen doing the rounds on social media that. I mean, it's
Newcastle one.
Yeah, the Newcastle. I mean, they were consecutive days after we drew 1-1. So thankfully, it's not that. At least it is a great comfort for us.
Yeah, it is, and you know, you sort of you count your blessings, don't you? That you think of how many deterrents Moyes had.
Yeah.
He had so many who doubted him coming back. Not the type of person to say, "Oh, I've proved you wrong," kind of thing. But I was glad we got him back. I was glad that he came in. I've said many times, he would have crawled back to Everton the way he is, how much he loves the football club, and he's embraced it. And he's looked at the various issues we've got, which are all over the place.
Yeah.
And he started to fill them. By no means at Everton a finished article, which should be exciting to all of us. But yeah, feeling more relaxed going towards this. And then you're at the stadium. Dare we say, you're looking at Everton now with a different perspective. And I feel he is as a manager as well. I think he's completely different to the last one we had. And I'm all for it. He seems like, when you come in, he gets that stereotypical view by many fans of similar with Dyche and Allardyce and even Mourinho these days, you know. But he's not that man. I think he's very lazy to say that. If you watch him now,
he's very composed.
Oh, he seems like, and he's so enjoying it as well. I still can't. How many times I turn to, he says, I still can't believe he's our manager because it didn't seem like him. His personality, everything about him is completely different, and it's what Everton need. It's exactly what we need, and you know, bring on the next few games that we've got. And you know, you're talking about like Goodison's probably at the top of many people's thoughts in terms of we end it on a high. I guess that's the target now, isn't it? Like you said, you've got those different kind of games. You're looking at it with more interest than you have fear, which is fantastic, and it's a long time since we've been able to say that. Yeah,
just like sort of previewing the shows next week, I'll go to do too in depth. Moyes looks like a fella who's suddenly got a lot of power, I think, at the football club, and knows he's got a lot of power. So I'm sure you, Les, and Roger will talk about that on Monday, on Blue Monday, and me and Paddy will certainly talk about it on Everton Byline on Tuesday morning as well. But yeah, we'll wrap it up there. That's been your post-match reaction outside the Denby Castle, which is starting to quieten down now, but you could not move in there while the game was on. Great atmosphere to watch the Blues.
That's what we always say, Matt. You've got to come here, haven't you, and visit us and all that, because love meeting new people, love meeting fans.
Don't want too many people to come because we won't be able to get in.
That's a good point. That's a good point. We're just going to stand outside, watch us about.
Yeah, watch
that little screen in the corner there.
Yeah, Beto players on at the moment. We can see his little face, but enjoyable night. Great to not really care too much about that result, but we are 8 unbeaten. We're carrying on. The Blues are very much on the up under David Moyes. We'll be back early in the week for Blue Monday and Everton Byline. Up the Toffees. Speak to you soon.